Here's everything you might have missed from this disc golf off-season. First of all, there has been a ton of movement among the disc golf teams. We're going to start off with that. We're going to be talking winners and losers, starting with Simon Lizotte and Team MVP. Winners or losers?
Winner. Total winners, especially from Simon's perspective. He spent a long time, 10 years with Discmania, amassing a huge cult following on YouTube, just really earning the love of the fans with his trick shots and his just lovable personality. I mean, he's just a great guy, fun to watch, and a real fan favorite on the course. This last year, he wins 4 events, and he uses this momentum along with almost 200 subscribers on YouTube to really push his brand, move over to MVP, and he's carrying all his fans with him.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely saying Simon is a winner, because from what we've heard, the deal was absolutely insane. At least 7 figures per year. Also, a no-cap earning potential on disc sales. Simon Lizotte, big winner here. He's also gotten a ton of media attention. And you know, the Simon vlog usually gets more views than most of these Pro Tour events anyways. So I will definitely say winner for Team MVP. It's kind of skeptical when they're shelling out a lot of money, but arguably Simon Lizotte moves more plastic than any other player on the market. So I'm gonna say winners.
We've heard rumors that Simon's gonna be coming out with his own disc line. So I mean, they're building this up to be something huge for the company, and I think this is a big W.
I imagine they've already made quite a bit of money back.
That's true. That's
with
true.
the Leap and Lozado and everything like that. Some more off-season moves, including Lone Star Discs signing half of the free agency / not even free agency. This year, some notable names. They signed Nico Lacastro, Emerson Keith, Lisa Fakis, Robert Burridge, among a list of probably 20 or so pro team and AM team members. So Lone Star Discs, and I guess we can include their players in that. Winners or losers?
This is a little bit of a tougher one. I think all these pro signings are winning signings. Like, I love the Nico signing, probably on the cheap, considering everything that happened with him last year, with his sponsors dropping him because of the European Open and whatnot. Emerson Keith sort of underperforming as of late, and a Texas local, so like that's just a W signing right there as well. They've got a ton of lower key players. I wouldn't say Lisa Fakis is technically low key, but they've got a lot of lower key players that have potential to really pop off for them this year on their touring team. I think their touring team is a W. I don't understand the AM team so much, really just going out there and signing a lot of AM players, but maybe those deals just look more like, hey, here's some discs, promote the company. If it looks like that for them, that's a W as well.
Yeah, I agree. I am definitely skeptical as to whether Lone Star will be a winner just yet. I'm definitely going to say winner for Nico Lacastro, Emerson Keith, and Robert Burridge, because especially Emerson Keith, I feel like he'll be able to represent the Lone Star brand super well, of course. Everybody knows he's a Texas guy. And if he does well on tour, it's going to be great for his brand. He's going to be like the Lone Star, the Texas guy, even more so, Emmer Daddy. His brand, I think, is going to do really well with this. Nico Lacastro, I don't know if he had a hard time signing other places. I imagine like there's a couple places that might not have wanted him. But I'm going to say this is a W for him because he can be one of the potentially the best player on this team, and he's going to get a lot of attention. And for Lone Star, I think specifically Nico is a W because all press is good press. Honestly, like a lot of people talked about it. So we're going to say kind of W. We don't know any of their contracts. I don't know what their profit margin is going to be with these players and selling their discs because none of them are really big plastic movers. But Lone Star seems to be doing a very good job with their branding, their marketing. And so if they market these players well, I'm sure there's a pretty big audience out there who would love to buy some Emerson Keith discs. Chandler Kramer is such a character, of course, and so they've been doing really well with his branding.
Forehand rollers out there. Yeah.
I know, yeah. So we'll say W for the players. Potential W for Lone Star. We'll find out.
Potential L for Lone Star as well. This sort of middle of the road thing.
Some more off-season moves that were a little bit more under the radar because of what happened with Simon and MVP, but have also made a significant impact on what this season looks like is Discraft and their players. Discraft, winner or loser?
Discraft is a huge winner. I mean, maybe second to MVP, but definitely a close runner-up for biggest winner of the year. They signed Anthony Barella, which is huge. Very young talent. Incredible arm on that guy. He can throw for days. Maybe the longest thrower on tour outside of Double G. And they signed Holland Hanley and Val Mandujano as well. Two huge talents in the FPO field. It may not be in that top 3, Paige, Kat, Kristen conversation all the time, but Val got a W this year, and Holland Hanley was certainly on the scene in more than one event, really popping off. So those 2 signings are huge for them. I love this. W.
W, yeah. I'm, of course, also going to say W for players. I feel like it's always a W for players because they're making money, and Discraft has a lot of money. Yes. So I assume they're paying AB pretty well. And I have to say W for Discraft because I imagine they have the overhead. And if you just watch their elite team video and see, they have to have the majority of the top 10 players in the world. If you're looking at Paul McBeth, Anthony Barella, Adam Hammis, Chris Dickerson, Corey Ellis popped off last year, Aaron Gossage, of course. These are all they don't have any low-key players on their team. They have all super well-known players. Valerie Mandujano is actually a huge sign because I think she moves plastic decently well. She has a great brand. And she won 2 Elite Series events and a Silver Series event, this being her first year winning a Pro Tour event at all. So she is on the up and up. Paige Pierce, of course, I believe the number 2 female player in the world.
I think this gives Discraft easily the best FPO team now, moving into 2023 with Missy Gannon and Holland Hanley as well, rounding out their top 4. That's a crazy good FPO team.
So yeah, we're going to say W for Discraft and W for all of Discraft's players. Be watching out for that team this year. The last team we're going to look at as far as movement goes is Dynamic Discs. There were a few strange happenings over at Dynamic Discs and their team this year. Dynamic, winner or loser?
Our first loser. Definitely a loser, and they're letting players go that I feel like are valuable. Valerie Mandujano left. We just discussed that. Mason Ford is gone. And Paige Shue, a really weird one. Former world champion, not exactly a mainstream player, but daughter of Doug Bierkes, who works at Dynamic Discs. And that is weird that you've got these family ties. She's been with Dynamic a long time.
Well, that also happened with Kona Panis and Innova.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It happens.
And equally a weird move.
Yes.
Weird move. But Paige isn't exactly moving to a ton of money like Kona was. She got signed by Discraft. She's not on their elite team or anything. That's something we didn't mention with Discraft. They also got Paige Shue, former world champion, and she's got a ton of followers on Instagram and all this. So anyway, Dynamic is hemorrhaging players and not signing anyone. So all their money is tied up in Ricky and in Kona, and one of those is probably paying dividends, but I just think this is an L for Dynamic there. Ricky's not a plastic mover quite like Paul or Simon. He is moving plastic. I'm sure he's number 3 in plastic moving, but he's not quite just like the incredible signing that those other 2 guys are. They're just guaranteed going to make you over and over and over again what you're paying them. I don't know. I think they're struggling moving into this season. They're gonna need to look to make a move next year.
So I'm gonna say W. I think for Dynamic Discs.
Okay.
I think Ricky is selling more discs than all of those players combined, and so they're gonna really prop him up this year and then look to make some big moves next year maybe. But as long as they have Ricky, and now they're not spending money per se, the Kona Panis deal has debatably not worked out. Although, I don't know, they've said, everybody is just looking at her Pro Tour stats and her standings. She still has some of the biggest social media following out of any FPO player, which is big, which matters a lot. It's hard work to get that content rolling and to keep it going. So I don't know if she's selling a lot of discs or not.
Well, if you believe Dynamic, she is. She's selling, I think they listed 1 or 2 Ricky discs in their top sales, and then below that it was 3 Kona discs.
She has good branding.
That's wild.
They market her well. She has cool logos and stuff like that. She does a good job. People care about and I mean, Simon Lizotte's a perfect example of that. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player, but he has this huge following. Like, the reason he sells more discs than anyone else, and he's not the #1 player in the world, is because he works really hard at his social media following. So I don't know if Kona Panis is selling a ton of discs and working out for them, but it seems like maybe she actually is.
I just think they missed a few key moves. They could have made easy stuff, like why not sign Colton Montgomery, Kona's husband? I mean, then you get like power couple, social media marketing, like, and he would be a cheap signing. I don't think he's like mainstream at Discmania or anything.
We'll see. I'm going to say W for now.
If they sign Eagle or Gannon next year, we'll come back and edit this video. Like, I'll put clips from this video in that video when it comes out and be like, L, read for your bad takes. But right now, I think this is it out.
Some other big things you might have missed this season is that the Pro Tour has changed a ton, and the European Tour is making big splashes. So first, we're going to talk about the US Pro Tour, and there's this East Coast and West Coast divide now. So we're going to talk winners and losers. Let's talk West Coast swing, winner or loser.
The West Coast swing took a huge L this year. We already sort of talked about it over in Discmas, but the events are falling off the tour on the West Coast. I mean, Masters Cup's completely off the tour now. I think it's an A tier this year. You have OTB Open and Portland Open, and then I guess you could count the All-Star Challenge and the Las Vegas Challenge as sort of like West Coast events. But the two main West Coast events are OTB and Portland, and then everything else, all the majors, everything important is happening on the East Coast.
Yeah, pretty much every major is touching the Atlantic Ocean.
It's true.
Just about.
All of them. Yeah, so major L for the West Coast, major L.
Yeah, so in that, we'll say big W for the East Coast. If you live on the East Coast, your likelihood of being able to see a Pro Tour event and a major is super high. Worlds this year is happening at Smuggler's Notch. Next year, it's happening in Lynchburg, Virginia. So it seems to be that the Pro Tour is maybe profiting a lot more from events on the East Coast for one reason or another. Maybe it's the amount that they have to spend on reserving courses and holding events. I don't know the economic side of that, but the East Coast is taking a major W here.
Yeah, and I mean the non-moving majors, which we've got USDGC, we've got the Disc Golf Pro Tour
now
Championship and Champions Cup, all happening in a circle like this big in the Southeast. Like they're like 2 or 3 hours apart, all those events.
Which for us is great. We live in Georgia.
Love that.
We can go to USDGC and the Pro Tour Championship. It's great. But yeah, speaking of W's, the European Tour has some drama going on. Paul McBeth. Winners or losers?
Winners. The European Tour is catching a huge W, like by accident. Paul McBeth is heading over to the European Tour in the middle of the disc golf season. He's missing several events, notably Portland Open, I think, is on his list to miss, which is another L for the West Coast. He's missing the Dynamic Disc Open, which he won Worlds there this last year, so very interesting. But
coincidentally, he didn't do so great at Dynamic Disc Open.
That's true. Weird. I guess that guy likes Worlds or something. He's going out for 8 events, I believe, 7 or 8 events on the European Tour. And he announces this, and a couple weeks later, the Pro Tour announces that like some of those events he's playing are actually going to be Silver Series events that are going to count towards your points for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So we were originally thinking that he was just chalking up the Pro Tour Championship a little bit to try to play on the European Tour some. That is not the case. He is going to be earning tour points and presumably also European Tour points at these events. So this is a huge W marketing-wise for the European Tour and for the European players to be able to watch Paul play against him at all these events. Like, they don't get the opportunity to play against that caliber of player. So to be able to size themselves up to the best in the world, huge W for the European Tour.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Say big W. I think Paul McBeth has a lot of fans out there, too. I think it's going to be an awesome experience for fans and Paul McBeth alike. So those are our winners and losers, and now we're going to let you know what we think is going to go down this 2023 season. Who do you predict is coming out on top of tour points. And who's your dark horse pick for the season?
Okay, so tour points winner, I'm going to go with Ricky because he's probably going to be in...
Safe bet.
Yep, Ricky is so good in the regular season. Now, don't ask me about his major wins, but I think he is going to pop off and be first place in tour points. And my dark horse pick for the season is Ezra Robinson. Not Isaac Robinson, Ezra Robinson. He is on the tour full-time this year. It's Isaac's little brother. And watch out, as a Georgia native, I know the dude can ball. He can ball with Isaac. He can ball with the rest of them. And I would be not surprised to see him take a cheeky dub this year.
Okay, so who I think might be able to come out on top this year and who I'm looking out for is Eagle McMahon, coming off of that injury from last year. He struggled with a shoulder injury from crazy accidents, but he played in the European Open and was in an echelon of his own alongside Paul McBeth. And he showed that he's still absolutely out of his mind and one of the best players in the world, but he did not play nearly as much last year. So I think he's going to be recovering this offseason. He's going to be training. I was going to say he's finally eating some meat, so I think it'll be really good. So I think that he'll return to his former glory this year and be able to pop off and potentially take home the tour points. Who to look out for? I'm going to say Anthony Barella. He's not super dark horse. He's well known. He's been a really solid player. Like you said, he probably has the farthest throw. He's probably the farthest thrower on the tour right now. But I don't believe he won any Pro Tour events last year. And so I think that he also struggled a little bit. He rolled his ankle like 3 times, I think. But I think this year is going to be the dark horse pick to look after and might get a win. A cheeky win here and there.
Cheeky win here.
That's who we're looking out for, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Who are the winners and losers? Who do you think is going to be the player to beat on tour this year? See you in the next one. Stay swanky.